Absolutely. In fact, starting with this story specifically, it's been a tumultuous time in the Johannesburg City Council. First, Speaker Vasco da Gama was ousted and replaced by Colleen Makhubele. And yesterday, Mayor Mpho Phalatse was given the boot and new Mayor Dada Morero was installed. But the DA says it's not giving up without a fight. It says the new speaker is not competent or capable of handling council. So let's get reaction now from, indeed, the new speaker, Colleen Makhubele. Colleen, thank you so much for your time this morning. I mean, certainly, I would think that in this case, the Democratic Alliance feels as though they are the biggest losers. They want to challenge this in court. They tried to challenge and actually have an interdict on the very same council city, which they failed to do, with costs, by the way. As you're looking at the politics that were at play here with the city of Johannesburg, your take, is it true indeed that the Democratic Alliance was simply not able to lead?
Good morning, Faith. Good morning, Morena. Good morning to the viewers. Thank you so much for having me. Of course, we've said it over and over again, the DA has failed to lead. And it's not the first time they failed to lead. They were in a coalition in 2016. The same thing happened to them. Clearly, they are not doing introspection to understand that it's not a court that is going to help them. It is serving the electorate, it's serving the residents of the city of Johannesburg. It is working with respect and honor with all parties, whether small or big, within a coalition. It's letting go of white supremacy, thinking you're better and smarter than everybody else. It's really letting go of the arrogance and being willing to consult and listen. So all of those things that they are not willing to look at is making them spend useless money on frivolous cases going from court to court. It's not going to help them. The court has already chucked it out. And if they were competent to lead, the people would have kept them in power.
Yeah, you know, you're speaking about how there's arrogance. I don't know about the people in this case because it seemed to be a game of politics, right? So the South African residents or the members of the city of Johannesburg were not made to vote in this one, right? We did not have necessarily, it was a game of political negotiations. So South Africans in this case are actually removed from this until obviously with the next local government elections. But I mean, you've been accused also by the Democratic... Yeah.
Faith, I beg to differ on that. Remember, when I stand in council, I represent a constituency. I represent the very citizens of Joburg. Those are the ones that give us the mandate to say this is how we are going to vote. So it's not your voice is not over by when you make a cross during the elections. Throughout, we're in touch with our residents, we're in the communities, and they are the ones who tell us how they feel, what they want to see, and we represent them. I'm not in council representing Colleen. I'm in council representing the voters that put me in there. I'm their voice.
So do you think that the very same residents of the city of Johannesburg were calling for the African National Congress to lead once again and to have the city mayor of Dada Morero being installed? The residents of the city of Johannesburg are the ones that called for the ANC to lead.
Certainly. They've called for the ANC to lead. They've called for the change of power. Actually, in El Dorado Park, I think it was last week sometime. And they were telling us categorically as well, we don't want the DA. They have done nothing for us. The mayor is 3 weeks down the line. There's a crisis in El Dorado Park. It's gunshots. 20 people, young people have died already. She had not even been there to assist the residents, to address them, to be with them in this time. And she wanted them to write them a formal letter, which she would respond in 14 days. That was a response. I was in Jovicho on Heritage Day. The residents were clearly, categorically, it's on videos. We don't want this government that has done nothing. We've never seen this mayor. Who is she? Since she was elected, she's never even come to Region G to tell us who she is, what she's going to do. Our situation hasn't changed. We are still jobless. We still have no water. We're still using bucket system for sanitation. There's no services in our community. Who is this mayor? We don't want her. And we are in the communities every day, and I can give you countless of stories and videos to that effect. So you have to participate as well, Faith. If you've got a councillor in your ward, you have a right to tell them what to do, and they bring it to council. Even the motions, they don't come from us. The motions are driven by our electorate.
So the electorate is saying that they want the ANC to lead, and yet I'm sure that for those that voted for you are thinking, hold on a second though, Speaker, we wanted COPE in there somehow. So right now I'm trying to understand whose voice here are we propagating, the voice of the African National Congress or even the voice where COPE is concerned, and where does COPE sit when we are calling for the ANC to actually lead the city of Johannesburg?
Let me give you a bit of light on how it works. We're in a coalition. All of us didn't win election. So when people lobby for mayorship, we go to, for instance, as COPE, I go to my region, I go to my leadership and say, these are the people that are fighting and vying to come into power. Who do we go with? And we evaluate who they are, what are they bringing to the table. We have engagements with them. And all of us as a bloc, even as minorities, we do that with our constituencies. And the best man that tells us what to do, we form a coalition with them. Clearly, COPE cannot be a mayor because I'm a speaker right now. And that's the process that they went through as well to elect COPE as a speaker. They went to their constituencies to say, these are the people vying for the position. How do we do it? Even DA, you know, do you think the residents voted for DA? They only have 22% in the city of Johannesburg. You know, in fact, ANC has the highest number of votes if we go by that in the city of Johannesburg. It's just that we had agreed with our constituencies at the time that we'll support the DA and the DA coalition based on what they had put on the table. But clearly they failed to live up to it.
Now, I'm sure the residents of the city of Johannesburg are listening to this and saying, we hear the politics of it, but what about our services? You know, what about what
exactly
we actually did vote
government.
for? What exactly we did? What are we paying for as the residents of the city of Johannesburg? You know, rates, services, collections, and the like. Still, it needs to continue. The business of running the city needs to continue. How do we guarantee the citizens of the city of Johannesburg that indeed the services will continue under the mayorship of the African National Congress?
And I'm glad you asked, because under the mayorship of DA, what did you get? If you had services, if you had everything that you are calling for now, we would not be in this position. So clearly there was no leadership, there was no vision, there was no services to the residents. And we're hoping that this mayor, with all the promises that he has made, he will deliver that. And in my role as a speaker, that's my job, to hold him accountable. And if indeed 6 months down the line, 9 months down the line, we see there's no change, we'll not hesitate to change again the leadership until somebody comes who will serve the residents of the city of Johannesburg, whether it's from EFF or Action SA or whoever has the heart and the willingness to roll up their sleeves and go and serve the residents. That's the person we're looking for. And my role is to hold them accountable. And the reason we removed Vasco da Gama is that he was failing to hold the mayor accountable. He was protecting her as the DA, concealing reports. When we want to debate issues about her in council, he would not bring that into the agenda. And he would not allow us to question her and have answers that our residents are looking for. So those things are going to change now. We are not friends. We are not from the same political party. We are not going to be told and dictated to how to vote, how to behave in council. Right now, we are all for the citizens of Joburg and for the parties that voted us in. So this new coalition, we know that is going to be very balanced. The power is going to be shared across. There's not going to be a big boss who's going to be commanding and dictating to anybody. We are all going to be equal partners and hold hands to serve the residents.
So who do you think the big boss of the Democratic Alliance was in this case? Was it indeed the Mayor Mpho Phalatse, or were the orders coming in from higher above?
No, Mayor Phalatse was never the boss. The boss was this technical committee that was chaired by Colleen Makhubele from Freedom Front, who actually has 3 or 2 seats in council, and Helen Zille and Stian Estesen and all those white people that sit there in the white boardroom and tell us what to do, how to vote. And if you don't vote, they want you fired, they want you removed, and bring in somebody who's going to do what they want to do. What programs did they put? They took away the role of councillors. It's our role to understand what the citizens need and put in programs that will address it. It's not their role to sit somewhere unconstitutionally, tell us what you are going to implement, who is going to be in this position, how you're going to roll out services. And clearly that model has failed because the constitution of the land does not allow a coalition to rule a city, a municipal city. It is the role of councillors, and we're bringing that power back to the elected councillors so that they can lead the city as they were elected to do.
So do you think that the Mayor Mpho Phalatse was actually failed by the Democratic Alliance as a political party?
Certainly, and I mean, I love her as a person, and she was really constricted. I mean, if you want to be a mayor in the DA, you have to be able to take instruction and do what they're telling you. You've seen everybody in the DA who's jumped out of the window, what they say about the DA. I don't have to repeat that. You know, it's like it's not a party for independent thinkers who want to be leaders. It's a party of those that want to be a front, told what to do, obey, and then they can have their cushy positions. And we're not looking for that in the city of Joburg. We're looking for independent thinkers, people who will lead us, who will consult with us, and who will join hands with us in rebuilding the city.
Well, she says that she's not giving up without a fight. I mean, obviously pursuing the courts once again to be able to challenge the very same, instituting of Dada Morero as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. Does she have a leg to stand on, in your opinion?
Well, that leg was broken yesterday that she thought she had leg to stand on. Of course, she's got a democratic and a constitutional right to approach any court. So we wish her luck in that. In the meantime, we're going to focus on the work at hand until we get their papers that we'll respond to.
It certainly is a very interesting time for the city of Johannesburg, Speaker. And I think more than anything else, it's about the accountability that now gets held on those members who are supposed to be performing on behalf of the city. It does not help that we've got, one mayor removed as the Democratic Alliance. We put in the ANC that we are saying that she got removed because of arrogance and because, of course, she was not delivering according to you guys. If the mayor of who has now been elected in the city of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, does not perform, you are saying here that you will not hesitate to do the very same thing to Dada Morero that you did to Mpho Phalatse.
And he was told categorically, and the minority parties, we mean it. We are not going to hesitate to remove him. We are not going to risk, it's 1 year down the line since we've been elected in office. We have nothing to show in the city of Johannesburg. And we are going to fight until we have something to show for the people that have put us in power. We'll not hesitate to remove him. And also we've told him we're not going to be taking orders from Luthuli House. Luthuli House is not going to be dictating how the council works. It's the councillors and council that are going to be dictating what he's going to be doing for the residents of the city of Joburg.
So in terms of what do we need to prioritize from here on forth, let's talk a little bit about, if you have to name top 3 kind of agenda settings that you need, or priority areas that you need to focus on as we head on to this new dawn, so as it were, what would you say are those top priorities?
Faith, I'll be crossing boundaries if I do that, because that's the mayor's job. My priority as the speaker is to make sure that what Mayor Dada puts on the table, he does it. He's going to be making his plans known on what are his priorities, and in consultation with all the councillors. And once he does that, it's my job to ensure that those things are met and those things address the needs of the residents, failing which it is my job to hold him accountable. So I'm not going to take his job here and outline to you what are his priorities. He has to sit with his mayoral committee, sit with their officials, and then come up with plans that we're going to approve and say, yes, go for it. And then I can come back to you and say, these are the plans, and this is how we're going to be holding them accountable on those plans.
Well, Speaker, I'm sure you can be certain that the residents of the city of Johannesburg, particularly who are watching this conversation between the two of us, are thinking, let's wait and see. We give him a chance, but if he does not deliver, as per your promise, he gets out. And somebody better then gets put in his place to be able to run the city of Johannesburg. But more than anything else, I think we're past the point of politics. I think South Africans right now just want service delivery. But we'll leave it there for now. City of Johannesburg Speaker Colleen Makhubele.